To my channel. So if you're new, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. All right, so my name is Kamoy. I am pre-recording your 369 reading. Okay, so the title of this reading tonight is We Are Playing Chess, but it's your move. Okay, so we're playing chess, a game of chess rather, and it's your move. Okay, now, if you're new to the channel, I want to say to you that energy is fluid, which means that I can say that this is your energy, but if it's not, you want to go ahead and apply the energy where it needs. So you take what you need, you leave what you don't, and you may want to shelf what you don't understand in case you need to come back and apply it. All right, so a few announcements before we move forward. Because I got a download in the channel, I am going to be doing uh, the archetype and astrology breakdown and check-ins via the podcast, and then I'm going to be posting them on YouTube. Okay, the lives is still going to be okay. I'm still going to do live, but I'm going to do live once a week. I go in for surgery on Monday, my loves, which means that I may not be able to record maybe for a week or two. So I'm going to pre-record some content so you guys are not missing the energy for the week upcoming. Okay. Now, I also want to say this. If you are on Patreon, I will be breaking down the 369 reading via the astrology deck. So you guys can go ahead and hop on over to Patreon. So it's going to be an extension of this video, okay? For today, for this reading. I don't know if I'm going to continue it in the future. Maybe for the next couple of recordings, and then we'll see how that goes because of my surgery. I'm having nasal surgery, y'all. So I may not be able to actively like sit up and record, for about a week or two. Okay. So, with that being said, we are going to thank our angels. We're going to thank our guides. We're going to thank our ancestors. We're going to thank all of the higher energy that's in the atmosphere that helps guide, protects, encourage, motivates, and gives us the strength to take action with courage and boldness when we need to. All right. So, the theme has been perspective, like being able to change your perspective. And like you may have heard in the podcast that I did this week, breaking down the energy, really and truly, we're going to jump into, a lot more of the makeups and how you can utilize this energy, right, to work with you, okay, instead of going against the tide and having the energy to work against you, okay? And really, a lot of it is perspective, mental perspective, and then you can apply all of the other elements to it, okay? So we're going to start off with your 369 pull tonight. Now, you need to know 369 is electromagnetic energy, which is how the universe operates. This is how everything comes into being, okay? So that is a vibration of electromagnetic energy, which is really the energy of manifestation. You can pull from all three realms if accessed properly. Okay, so 3 is going to represent your past. The 6 is going to represent your future or your now moment, and the 9 is going to represent your no, what am I saying? 3 is going to represent your past. The 6 is going to represent your now moment, and the 9 is going to represent your future moment. Now, keep it in mind, your future moment can literally be 5 minutes from now, 30 seconds from now. It doesn't really, it's really up to you, the individual, and how powerful you are to utilize the energy that's here working with you. Okay. Now that that's said, all right, so in your past energy, which is a 3, which is all about your imagination, your creativity, okay, being able to creatively, right, see yourself having something or see yourself out of something, okay, using your imagination. All right, so this week in your 369 for the number 3, you have differences, and we're gonna break that down. So your placement of your imagination and creativity, you have differences. In the placement of your willpower, power to create or destroy, you have listening, which is also part of communication. In the placement of the 9, you have, my loves, confidence. Okay, now 9 is the number of completion, 6 is the number of your willpower, and 3 is the number of manifestation using your imagination. Okay, clarifying the energy is still the same energy in the atmosphere that we talked about. Really, I want to say you got fire energy that's asking you here to take action in your indifferences, or maybe watch the way that you're communicating with people this week. Okay, Fire energy is energy of Aries, Leo, as well as Sagittarius, right? So we know that Aries can be the warrior type debater. We know that Sagittarius could be blunt and really don't care how things come across. They're very honest and truthful. But we also know that Leos could be a little bit narcissistic where it's all about them, okay? So watching that fire energy as you're dealing with your indifferences this week is going to be important, okay? Especially indifferences that are rising from the past, because they're that's in your three placement, which is your past, okay? Whatever you're doing within that past energy, you need to know that that resolution is here. So you are going to come to a personal resolution that's going to prompt some change. Now, if you take a look at this card, it's kind of like she's pushing back the change that's coming her way. She's also covered in a red, like is that a she? That is a she. She's also covered in like a red dress, so she's wearing a red dress, right? Red represents your root chakra, balance. That's family, that's your money, that's your fight or flight mode, okay? So you may be, or you may have been resistant to having this conversation or dealing with the indifferences in your relationship from the past or in the past, right? So in your now moment, is say you need to listen. You need to listen. Now, you need to know communicating with someone, or when you go to communicate with someone or have a conversation with someone, it doesn't mean that you listen to respond. You need to listen to understand instead of listening to respond. So there, you stuck on sentence 3 and 4 where they said something that, triggered you, but you didn't hear sentence 7, 8, or 9 where they're actually giving you the compliments or maybe even saying why they felt that way didn't have anything to do with you, okay? So clarifying this listening energy, you do have Capricorn, and I feel like this can go a few ways with the Capricorn energy. Capricorn energy can be very judgmental, right? We do know that. Capricorn energy can also tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But within the Capricorn energy also, you can find energy that's very action driven, very about their reputation, right? And when you have people that's integrity driven, their reputation is everything to them, okay? This actually represents an area of change, right? So Capricorn also can bring in beautiful change into your life. It can also bring in discipline into your life, right? In Capricorn, I always say Capricorn energy, Capricorns know where to find the money. And I always say Capricorn's energy is needed as you are mastering yourself, okay? This is the energy of discipline. This is the energy of order. This is also the energy of governance systems or governmental systems, right? So we all have governance systems, okay? So you need to be mindful of that. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And within Capricorn energy, you may necessarily need to actually listen, right? So you can tap into the area of discipline. And this Capricorn energy could also be, it's the timing for you to listen instead of responding, right? Sometimes you learn more when you let people talk versus you interrupting them, okay? So you need to be mindful of that. You need to listen, because as you know, when you are working with indifferences, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, if somebody is very sensitive to a topic that you're talking about, they're not going to really hear anything that you have to say past what the trigger was, right? So they're not going to hear anything past the trigger, okay? I see a moth. Well, I see the moth on camera. Okay? So you need to be mindful of that, okay? Because the law of attraction is into play here, okay? Remember, we always talk about your perspective, and if how you see a thing is how a thing is going to manifest, okay? Because really you're giving energy to how you see that thing unfolded, okay? You do have something from the past that's coming back into your present moment where it's saying you're going to have to deal with this right now, all right? You got earth energy and fire energy on the board, right? So we know that when you have some fire with some earth energy, some wood, that can create a forest fire. So things that's a very little can be blown into big proportion because emotions are high and somebody may be fighting to change. Somebody may not want to let go, but there is a personal issue being resolved from the past. And I want to say this past may not necessarily have anything to do with this person. It could just be this person triggered something from the past that you now have to deal with, okay? Be mindful about that. In your future energy, it has confidence. So there's something about your past, okay, that you need to listen because it's really tapping into your confidence. Aquarius energy is popping up here with Aries energy. So Aquarius energy brings in that energy of knowing, okay? So you either are not tapping into that Uranus energy, which brings in that innocence where you're trusting and knowing that there's a purpose here, right? Aquarius energy, I want to say, can also be rebellious, like wanting to be unique, right? Because you don't want to fit into a box. So being confident that you don't fit into a box, that everybody may not get it, everybody may not understand, and that's okay, right? Aries energy is really about your I amness. This is who I am. And if you don't like it, what you want me to do about that? I have an Aries sun, and let me explain something to you right now. My son is very, very, first of all, he's an empath. He's sensitive, so he picks up on energy. But second of all, he lives in the space, his personal space, where if it's not important to him, he's not going to get rattled. I can rush him. I can tell him to move faster. But he really lives in this space where he calms himself, and he very, very rarely get rattled. Okay. He very rarely gets rattled. So as he matures and learns his power, he's going to be very powerful. He does not get rattled very easy. Even if he's feeling it internally, he really thinks unpack in his Aries mind. Is this important? He sees bigger picture. Right? So he's not so much in the little details. Oh, you're in your feelings right now, but the bigger picture is, So be mindful, okay? Knowing what you know and being confident what you know and seeing the bigger picture is going to work for you as you're dealing with your indifferences this week, okay? You need to know that. Now, prosperity does lie ahead. This is a new moon in Taurus, and we got a new moon in Taurus coming on up, right? If I'm not mistaken, we got a new moon in Taurus coming on up, okay? Taurus is about stability. Taurus is about your possessions, right? So your possessions, looking at your indifference, okay? Looking at the change that may need to unfold, okay? You also have the pleasure card popping up. That's, to me, when I see pleasure, I see Venus energy. And if you're on part of the Patreon crew, we're going to tap into that, okay? Because Venus is showing her head over there, y'all. We're gonna get into that. So pleasure. Your prosperity is here. And why not enjoy yourself? Why not think about the things that you want to experience versus the things that you fear to experience, right? But once again, there's a balance in all things, and we don't talk about that balance in Patreon. But there's a balance in things, and you need to know that you're gonna have to balance yourself out in this energy, which means that you need to know your triggers. Let me explain something. Let me just tell this. I went out for a couple of hours yesterday while the kids were out for school. The kids got home before I did, and when they walked into the house, they walked into the whole top level. Flooded, about 2 inches of water. Go down into the basement. The basement is also flooded, and it has about 3 inches of water. Okay. Can I just tell you, the first thing that you go to, in your human mind, if you are not grounded, and I think that day I did not get to do my routine. My day started pretty early. So my normal routine that I normally do, I did not get to do all of it. Like I did a small down chunk of it. And then this, because I decided when I come home, I can get more quiet time to sit with myself. And that then worked out because I walked into, the house being flooded. And I remember at one point I went downstairs to just assess how it looked. And I just let out this sigh, and I came back upstairs, and then my babe said to me, you need to just take your car keys, get in your car, and go get you a cup of coffee. At this time, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm not drinking coffee at 4:30 in the afternoon. But what I realized in that now moment was something that he says to me all of the time. I never have bad days. I only have bad moments. So I realized in that moment I was having a bad moment. Not a bad day, because I had an amazing day earlier. But right now I was having a bad moment. I changed my perspective, and I chose within the indifference that I was feeling within myself, right, to listen to really what my higher self was saying. and walk in confidence with what I know, which was everything was already okay. Not that it was going to be okay, but everything was already okay. And that I had so much more to be grateful for. Like, seriously, I had so much more to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for. Okay, so I had to look at it like that. Okay, so changes here. You need to know that you are attracting the energy that you put out there. So, in pleasure can be something of wonder, or you can overindulge. Everything has a flip side to it. Everything has a flip side. We live in a realm of duality, so you need to check into the Mondays podcast / YouTube uploads for that, right? Where we are going to be talking about some of that duality and how you are supposed to be moving throughout this energy, okay? So change is here. Change is necessary, I must say, right? And I myself constantly, I remember this is probably about 15 or 17 years ago. How old is so my son is, so this was about 15. So exactly, it's about 15. So this is about 15 years ago, y'all. I was sitting at my desk at this particular private investment firm that I work for, and I clearly heard Spirit say to me, the one constant thing that there is change. That's the one constant thing that there is. The question that you need to ask yourself is, do you embrace change or do you fight change? If you're looking at this tarot card, you can see that she tend to be fighting change, like pushing back the change a little bit. Okay. Now, I want to say this also. This is card number 35, and it equals 8, which is also new beginnings. With change comes new beginnings, right? You attract what you give energy to, whether it's mentally or emotionally. Whatever you give mental energy to, you're going to then begin to give emotional energy to. Whatever you give emotional energy to, you're then going to begin to give mental energy to. That is then going to trigger your action, which is then going to trigger your physical manifestation. All right? So you want to go ahead and protect your mind. Love your mind. Honor your mind. Okay? So that's it. Protect your mind, love your mind, honor yourself, love yourself, okay? Do something kind for yourself, all right? Declare that you do not give anyone permission, whether they are seen or unseen, okay, to take over your mind. No one gets permission to take over your mind. Okay? So, you want to know that? Now, what we're going to do is this. I am going to wrap it up here, my love. So you guys are going to see uploads coming in next week, but they're going to be pre-recorded because I'm going for surgery, right? So archetypes and astrology are going to be up on Mondays. And then we are also going to have your tarot reading for the archetype and astrology breakdown on Wednesdays, but it's going to be pre-recorded, like I said, because I'm in surgery, okay? Patreon, my love, your stuff is also going to be pre-recorded next week. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to see you guys next week. And if you're part of the Patreon crew, we're just going to go ahead and pick up the extension so you guys can have a clearer understanding of how you need to move this week. Okay, bye, my loves. All right, my Patreon crew. Y'all know I had to do that little commercial, right? I had to do that little commercial so everybody knows.